You're listening to Keith Engle, the host of TGI Sports Talk on the National Streaming Sports Roku channel.
Football season is here, and SeatGeek is my go-to for buying tickets. Now with SeatGeek, every single ticket is backed with their buyer guarantee. We've all had plans change, and when you can't make it to the big game, SeatGeek has you covered. They're the only ticketer that allows you to return your tickets ahead of the event for credit with SeatGeek swaps. So when things come up, I know that my tickets won't go to waste. So what are you waiting for? Download the SeatGeek app to maximize your possibilities and shop live events with confidence.
Good afternoon, everybody. Keith Engle here for TGI Sports Talk's MLB update. Hope everybody's doing well. My shirt kind of clashes with the outfield today. I apologize. Been a rough day. Busy work-wise. Had a little furniture swap I had to do. A lot of things going on here. A lot of things going on in baseball. Yankees and Mets square off. Soto returns to the Bronx. He's going to get booed. Twins have won 11 straight, but Buxton is hurt again. Ian Carrier's in concussion protocol. Rangers have won 6 in a row. The Rockies are the Rockies. They fired Bud Black. He's the luckiest man in the face of the earth today. We'll talk about Pete Rose and Joe Jackson. We'll talk about all of that and anything you want to talk about. I want to welcome everybody watching today on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. We're live on the National Streaming Sports Roku network. Linda, if you're there, we love it. We love seeing you. I still don't know why I'm so huge on the screen as I look at it, though. I'm not when I look at my camera, so I gotta. Maybe it's the TV settings on my end. I have to take a look at that. You guys can let me know how large my head is on Roku. What else? The groups, John Gonzalez, Sports Authorities, tremendous group, man. Get in there. Same with Greg Rawlings at America's Pastime. I love baseball. Flo and the gang at Bottom Line Sports. Let's Talk Sports. Ken Krause over there at Sports Buds, sports of all sorts. All the groups allow me to share these baseball opinions and such, if you will. Quick shout out to Ralph Williams. I know Ralph has got himself moved to, I think, Maryland, Ocean City, Maryland, if I'm not mistaken, out of Pittsburgh. He's back with the Sports Corner, him and Funky Jim Frazier every Tuesday from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Check them out. We guest there from time to time, and we love being on with them. DDH, thumbs up to you. Mac, thumbs up to you. Mac McGrath, as you know, passed away here just about 2 weeks ago. Now, we miss him, and we're going to keep his spirit alive on this show, and I know all the shows on the National Streaming Sports Network are doing so. Linda, if you're out there watching it all, our thoughts and prayers continue with you and your family, and Mac will be looking over you always. What to talk? The big news, obviously, guys, is Pete Rose. I mean, look, the commissioner did this under the auspices of is that right? Anyway, auspices of, the permanently banned list is gone. Once a player's dead, apparently it's gone. These weren't lifetime bans. And by the way, I'm all for Shoeless Joe Jackson and Pete Rose being in the Hall of Fame. I've said this for many, 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 many years, including the last 5 on this show. But the way Rob Manfred, this guy could screw up anything. Even when he does the right thing, he does the wrong thing. They're dead so they can be in. Well, these weren't lifetime bans, guys. They were permanent bans. There's a difference. And they're not automatically in. They've still got to, they're setting up a party in Cincinnati. He's not eligible. Well, he's eligible for whenever the classic era committee meets again. He's not eligible for the writer's vote. None of these guys are that were released. And the two that really matter are Rose and Shoeless Joe. And no matter what you think about Pete Rose, his numbers say he belongs in the Hall of Fame. He did something he should not have done. Nobody should ever do. But I've always been, and I'm the same way with the steroids, guys. Put them in there, and I want to see their plaque and tell the story. The good stuff, all-time hits leader, blah, 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 blah. Suspended permanently from baseball for XYZ. Same with the steroid guys. No different. This isn't, and I've heard some of the players that are in the Hall of Fame now, and I've heard commentators talk about the moral clauses in the Hall of Fame criteria. That's a bunch of BS. Do you think everybody in there is a freaking choir boy? The place is full of racists that played in the 1800s and early 1900s. Give you Ty Cobb as example number one. There's many others. Pete Rose belongs there. Pete Rose is all over the Hall of Fame. And you know what? You know what hurt Pete Rose more than anything? Not the fact that he didn't live to see himself in the Hall of Fame. I don't believe that's the biggest penalty he was given. He wasn't able to participate in baseball, whatever that might look like. I don't know why my shirt is pixelating on their screen there. He wanted to manage again. He wanted to be around the ballpark. He wasn't allowed to be around the ballpark except for a couple of very specific instances. Pete Rose is no choir boy, and he wouldn't be dating my daughters, my granddaughters. But Pete Rose, you can't have a Hall of Fame without Pete Rose. Now, I have no doubt he won't get in the first try. A lot of these guys who will be on this committee, a lot of which will be Hall of Famers themselves, are not very sympathetic to Pete's situation, including longtime teammate and Hall of Famer Johnny Bench. Hello, Ron Panetta. How are you? Somebody agrees with me. Most people I know do. Pete should be and will be in the Hall. He'll get there eventually. I'm telling you, Ron, I don't think it'll happen in the first try. I just don't. He's got to get 12 of the 16 votes from this committee. I don't think he's going to get it the first time around. Bo Crouch had a great point on the National Streaming Sports Wednesday night show as we talked about this, the roundtable show, that they want to get this out of the way as quickly as possible so that we stop talking about it. Because we're going to talk about it now for the next 3 years or 2 years. I'm not sure if he's eligible in 27 or 28. I've seen multiple reports. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And I've said all along, you can't have a Hall of Fame without Pete Rose. You can't have a Hall of Fame without Barry Bonds. Hello, AC. How are you, my friend? AC and I had a very interesting discussion over Messenger yesterday about your Earth. Forgive me for talking about that, AC. It's interesting the conversations that come out of my shows. Is all. That's the only reason I make that point. Can't wait to see how big this bottle looks on Roku. Got to be my TV settings, I would think. It doesn't look that big on camera here. Does the picture ratio look good to you guys? I mean, do I have to reset a camera? I looked the other day to see what I had going on here. And if I made this full screen, I'm going to get your stuff in this. I don't know why I'm playing with this. I'm going to do it now. Hello, AC. Ron says, so should Steve Garvey. I'm a Garvey. There's a lot of people don't think Garvey belongs in. I think he does. Don Mattingly. Listen, I'm a Yankee fan. You look at Don Mattingly's stats compared to Kirby Puckett. Mattingly was penalized for not playing. He dominated the game. Here's my criteria is different than some people's, right? Some people like compilers and they want to see 500 home runs and, it's not going to get 300 wins anymore or 3,000 strikeouts probably. The numbers that were benchmarks before probably gone forever. But I don't need benchmarks necessarily. I need that guy who dominated over a certain period of time. 4, 5, 6, 7 years. Don Mattingly was the best player in baseball for a number of years in the mid-'80s before he got hurt. And go compare his numbers to Kirby Puckett. Probably Harold Baines, too. There's guys that don't belong. Today's discussion is really about Pete Rose and Joe Jackson. I think Joe Jackson may get in as well. Joe Jackson and the whole 1919 Black Sox, if you haven't read 8 Men Out, don't just watch the movie. The movie's really, really good. Don't just watch the movie. Read the book. To me, my takeaway is this. Joe Jackson just was in with the gamblers, didn't know what the hell he was doing, signed stuff. Joe Jackson couldn't read or write, just so you know. And I think these guys, a certain number of them, they were found innocent in a court of law, but Judge Landis decided to spend them all because they did conspire to throw the World Series. And then when Arnold Rothstein didn't pay them as the series was going on, they decided to screw him. We'll try to win. Well, you can't turn it on and off. Rick Sherlock, good afternoon, my friend. Rick, I still don't know, and I forgot to talk to Sonia. And if you're out there, Sonia, I apologize for not bringing it up face-to-face today. I still don't know where Jack and Sonia were ragging on me the other night. The other day, whatever it was. I'm kidding. We have fun. It's a great story, though. Pete Rose, I think they punished him. They did exactly what they wanted to do. They wanted to keep him out until he was dead. And Pete wanted to be on the field more than he wanted to be in the Hall of Fame, in my opinion. I hope Pete gets voted in. He will eventually. And I hope Pete's family tells the Hall to F off. They won't. He should already have been in when he was live, and the use of his name now that he's gone is just selfish from the Hall of Fame. Oh, by the way, I mean, Pete Rose and AC, I don't remember where you're from the Boston area, right? You may have been to Cooperstown. If you haven't been, it's only about an hour, hour and a half, hour and 20 minutes from me. And I go every couple of years. Pete Rose is everywhere in the Hall of Fame. His memorabilia is in the Hall of Fame. He just doesn't have a plaque. They've used Pete Rose's name at the Hall of Fame for decades. And that's not about Major League Baseball, right? That's about the Hall of Fame. Two separate entities who kind of work together to make sure Pete didn't get in. But even in doing the right thing, as I said, and you may not have heard it at the top, Rob Manfred is an idiot, does the wrong thing for the right reasons. I'm sorry. Does the right thing for the wrong reasons. He said it was a lifetime ban, so, now that these guys aren't alive anymore, they should be allowed possible entry. He didn't say they should be allowed in the Hall of Fame. Major League Baseball has nothing to do with the Hall of Fame voting. That's all done on its own, and AC is referring to them as a separate entity. I hate this Roku picture. I really do. It's distracted. But he uses the fact that they're not alive anymore as a rationalization to let them in. Well, I won't speak for anybody except Pete Rose, but I know what the wording is on Bart Giamatti's decision, and it was not a lifetime ban. It was not, while you're alive, you will never participate in Major League Baseball activities. His decision has nothing to do with the Hall of Fame. He's on the permanently ineligible list, which the Hall of Fame in turn said nobody from the permanently ineligible list can be considered for the Hall of Fame. Well, it isn't a lifetime ban. It was a permanent ban, which to me includes all of eternity. Now, again, I'm telling you, Pete Rose belongs in the Hall of Fame, but Rob Manfred can't even do the right thing when he's doing the right thing. Freaking bozo. They should have had Pete let his moment when he was still alive with, here's the thing too. AC, I do have to temper this a little bit. Pete was his own worst enemy. Pete was there every single Hall of Fame induction weekend. Well, he could go. I mean, later years, I don't think he went as his health deteriorated. But Pete Rose made a lot of money off of his own name. Maybe more than he would have ever made if he was a Hall of Famer. I don't know. I mean, he signed his name Pete Rose. He couldn't sign his name Pete Rose Hall of Famer. But Pete Rose was there. Pete Rose was in Cooperstown times when there was nothing going on, and he'd sign and for never for free. Now, again, that's certainly not specific to Pete Rose, but Pete was his own worst enemy during this whole thing. He should have just come clean sooner. Yes, he came clean, but his claims about never, his betting on baseball never affecting a game that's malarkey. Now, remember, as I say this, anybody who tunes in while I'm saying it, Pete Rose belongs in a Hall of Fame. Warts and all. Put it on his plaque. Permanently banned from baseball for betting on the game. And baseball's in bed with all the gamblers anyway, so enough's enough with that. But Pete, for 4 decades, basically, said, I didn't affect the outcome of any games, and it's not even plausible to think that's accurate. Because whenever he bet on a game, he would have had to have managed differently. And that would have affected the next game. If it didn't affect the game he bet on, it would have affected the next game. And maybe he didn't bet on that, which was also a signal. He didn't bet against his team. I really believe he never bet against the Reds. I truly believe that. But sometimes you do it without specifically doing it. His sad thing was he was down the street signing autographs at Hall of Fame weekend. It's sad, but at the same time, it was kind of Pete. That was also Pete kind of thumbing his nose at the Hall of Fame, which is okay. I am not going to sit here and tell you that Pete Rose is a wonderful individual and deserving of being on God's baseball team in heaven. There's a lot of things about Pete Rose that are not pretty. Betting on baseball may not even be the worst of them. But he belongs in a Hall of Fame because it should be about what he did on the field and between the lines. And you can't have a Hall of Fame without him. The people throwing the moral issue out there, I don't know what the Hall of Fame. I have to go back and reread it. I'm sure there's some moral clause in there. Jim Palmer talked about it in an interview yesterday. That's a bunch of malarkey as well because, again, the Hall of Fame is full of racists. I guess that didn't matter. That wasn't the moral problem when we put these rules in. He was there when Mariano was inducted. How much did he sign for, by the way, Rick? Did he sign for free? I'm going to be shocked when you say yes. And I'll eat my words because, me, I will admit it when I'm wrong. But I don't believe Pete was doing a whole lot of signing for free. If you remember, the reason Pete Rose went to prison was for going to autograph shows and memorabilia shows and not reporting the income. No, thank you very much. What did he charge? I'm really curious what he charged. I would think Hall of Fame weekend he would be getting top dollar. Maybe not. Did he sign Pete Rose? Should be in a Hall of Fame. As soon as you enter it, it has a plaque about morals. Yeah. And that's so hypocritical, right? So if that's the case, then let's start, removing all the racists and all the awful people from the Hall of Fame. And start with Ty Cobb. One of the great, the very player that Pete Rose broke his hit record. One of the worst human beings ever to walk the face of the earth. Well, maybe that's unfair. He was certainly an unmitigated bigot and racist. And I don't need, right? Ron agrees. And I don't need guys to be, choir boys to get in the Hall of Fame. I really don't. I mean, look at them. I mean, the Football Hall of Fame is full of, all the Hall of Fames are full of bad guys. Right? There's one particular Hall of Fame has one guy who got off of murder charges, killing 2 people, and another who didn't get charged at all for being involved in the murder of 2 people, Super Bowl weekend in Atlanta. You guys can figure out who I'm talking about. We won't get into that because it's a baseball show. But so we're all on the same page. We got no naysayers today. Hypocritical, I think you meant there, Ron. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Hypothetical. Believe me, I do the same thing a lot. Comes out of my mouth wrong. Guys, speak up. We got a bunch of people watching from different spots today. Don't feel bad about commenting. In real-time baseball, and we go back to Pete Rose, talk about as much as you want. I want to get into the standings a little bit. Some interesting stuff. We got Mets and Yankees this weekend. Soto returns to Yankee Stadium. I believe he gets booed. Oh, hold on. So here we got Ronnie. Hello, Ronnie Bear. I believe during his run for most hits, he changed uniforms every half inning to sell it as uniform. You know what? I don't think you're kidding, Ron. I think that's probably true. And again, because I'll stay on Pete for a few more minutes. Ronnie chimes in from down there. The Panhandle? Would you be in the Panhandle, Ron? The Texas Panhandle, by the way. What was I going to say? Yeah, again, I was saying before, Ron, if you didn't catch what I was saying, part of Pete's problem, not all of it. Again, the MLB, I'm not going to really blame the Hall of Fame necessarily. Well, actually, they took the easy way out with MLB's ruling. But Pete was his own worst enemy as far as getting off that permanently ineligible list, which he says, Bart Giamatti says, do X, Y, Z, and you'll be off in a year. And he thought he was going to manage again. Pete wasn't a rocket scientist, by the way. And all through the years, if he had just been a little more contrite, a little bit less thumbing his nose at the system and filling his pockets, Pete might have fared better. Every commissioner has teased him. Giamatti teased. Well, Giamatti didn't live long after the whole Pete Rose thing. Fay Vincent was a hard liner. I don't think Fay Vincent ever even considered anything. Bud Selig a couple of times. Rob Manfred a couple of times. They had some bad sit downs with Pete. He's not kidding. No, I didn't think you were. Amarillo, home of the Amarillo Sod Poodles. What level of baseball are we talking about here? The level the Colorado Rockies ought to be moved to, or sorry, I got a work thing I'm trying to monitor at the same time. I got to talk about the Rockies. Bud Black has got to be. I said this last Sunday. I guess it was when did he get fired? Last weekend, right? After they got beat 21-0. He's the luckiest man in history or in the country. AA. I don't know if the Rockies could compete there. So the Rockies now, by the way, are 1-9 in their last 10. I got to do the Rocky check. 163. Last week they were on a pace for what I say, 26 wins. I think 162 times 163. Well, they're on a pace for 26 wins still and 136 losses. This is what we go for. Diamondbacks AA team. Maybe Colorado should take this team from your home in Amarillo and take it up to Colorado. Somebody made the comment that the Savannah Bananas ought to go play in place of the Rockies and they do better. How happy is Bud Black got to get fired this week? How sad for our friend Clint Hurdle. I almost thought Clint might be renamed the manager. He managed, I remember, back in the early 2000s and made it to a World Series with that team. Clint was a very good manager. good friend of the show, and he'll be on with us at some point. Now it's going to be longer because he took the hitting coach job there. I don't know why. Only Clint can explain why. Moved to Montreal and then let the Expos. Let's get the Expos back. Why would you want to saddle the poor city of Montreal with with the Rockies? Some other news in that NL West is Clayton Kershaw will make his season debut tomorrow. Congratulations, Ronnie. You know, we thought this pitching staff was deep, and all of a sudden it doesn't look quite as deep as we thought, right? Now, the Dodgers aren't any worse for the wear. I mean, they're 29-15, playing well. This team's probably still going to win 110 games. Hello, Paul Spada, up there in Wisconsin, our Boston fan. Next Boston is over tonight, by the way. Just an FYI. Stick a little basketball in there for a second. But still, the West is very surprising. Right now, still, let's see, we wouldn't get all the wild cards in there. We'd get 2 of them, though. The Diamondbacks are just a little bit back of that. The Padres still playing surprising baseball, only a game back of the Dodgers. The Giants 4 games back. I had the Giants as one of my sleepers, you remember, in our preview show. Paul Spot is on a quick break. Thought he'd check in. We've been talking Pete Rose, the Rockies, and anything else you want to talk about? Rick sent a picture of the autographed ball to our chat. The ball had let me see if I can find it. See if I can pull it up quickly. Is it the TGI Sports Talk chat? I'm going to guess it is. I can find it. Doesn't matter. I'm going to see if I can share it quick. Oh, there it is. All right, let's take a quick look. What Rick just shared. Share screen. Is that going to be it? I think we're going to get a good. There you go. Pete Rose, 42.56. Nice. Cost Rick a cool 500 clams. I'm not sure what it was. You don't need to share, Rick. I'm just kidding. Good stuff. Oh my gosh. You can't make it up, right? How can I boot this now? Now I got 2. Now I'm in here twice. I don't know how I got in here twice. I guess it's just my Facebook. If I close that, it'll probably go away. There we go. Sometimes it screws up the feed. How come the Boston guys all show up at the same time? Well, AC was already here. Celtic, as we know, the last couple of years are done for now. They're a nice game for them Wednesday night, though. Lose tonight. Scott Kobe, how are you, my friend? Big Red Sox fan. We talked about Pete Rose. And again, to recap, I've said for years Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame, and it should say on his plaque he was a hit record, blah, 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 suspended permanently from baseball for betting on the game. Warts and all. Same with the steroid guys. Now, as far as him getting in, now that he'll be eligible, you say year or 2, I don't think he gets in the first year. We don't know who's going to be on this 16-man committee, the Classic Era committee from year to year. I don't know when they name them. I think it's like a year or something before they could get together to vote. There's enough guys, and there'll be Hall of Famers on this committee, and there's enough guys that do not think Pete should be in. And Johnny Bench is going to have a big say in this. And Johnny Bench, I guarantee you, will say Pete Rose doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame. So I don't think he gets in the first year. He needs 12 out of 16 votes. I think it might take him a couple of times to get in. And first of all, he's got to get on the list to be considered. That should be a no-brainer. Now, again, Bo Crouch had a great point the other night on the National Streaming Sports Roundtable show on Wednesday night. He said he thinks it'll happen because, Major League Baseball pushed him to get it off the table so we don't have to talk about it anymore. And it's quite possible that's what happens. I do think it's going to take him a couple of times. It's the luckiest man alive, as I've said for a couple of times now, being fired by the nightmare of the Rockies. They're on a pace for 26 wins this week. We will track this every Friday. Potentially Sundays as well, if need be, later in the season. Right now, the pace for 136 losses, which would far eclipse the White Sox record last year of 121, which beat the Mets by 1. White Sox, by the way, are flying. I mean, they're on a pace for like 52 wins. Oh, my gosh. So Ron Panetta said 2027. I think you're right. I saw 2028 somewhere. I don't know why. But I do think it's 2027. Because they only do that, I think, every 3 years. And I think 2027 will be the vote for 2028, maybe. Maybe that's what it is. 2027 vote for 2028 induction might be what it is, because we had a vote in 2024 for induction this year, and we're having Dick Allen get in and somebody else. Who else got voted in this year? Forget. But we'll talk about that as we get closer. Good stuff. Nick Rogers said, well, you aren't going to hear about it in this show because it's a baseball show. He's not going to sign. Bring up Aaron on Sunday. We'll talk more about it if you like. Aaron Rodgers is not going to sign until the season started. He doesn't want to go to camp, if at all. All right, get back to work. I won't report you. What else we got going on today, guys? Let me go through the standings here quickly. Put anything up you want to talk about in baseball. There's a few other stories. I can barely read my writing. By the way, how about Joe Jackson? Is Joe going to get into Hall of Fame? Scott, Kobe, Ronnie Bear, Rick? He's going to be on the same committee, or brought in by the same committee. Anyway, American League East, Yankees still on top by 4 games now over the Red Sox, who have lost 3 in a row, 4 of their last 6. Everybody's under 500 now except for the Yankees. And the Orioles, Brandon Hyde's in trouble. He's the next guy who better watch his back. I thought this team would win this division despite the pitching issues. I thought they'd survive some of those injuries until they got reinforcements. They're not hitting. They're not pitching. Ronnie, I believe, talking about Shoeless Joe, definitely should be in the Hall of Fame. Didn't even participate. The man was read him out. AL Central Tigers. Well, I picked to win this division. They're tied with the Dodgers for the best record in baseball. 29 and 15, excuse me. They've won 3 in a row, 8 of their last 10. The team formerly known as the Indians, 3.5 back. The Royals, after a really strong run, have lost a couple in a row. And the Twins, although mired in 4th place, 5 games behind, have won 11 in a row. I really thought the Twins had hit their nadir. That they were going to fire Rocco Baldelli. Last year, I told the fans to relax. They wanted him to get fired, and they came back last year. And I thought this year it wouldn't happen. They've won 11 in a row. And the White Sox, of course, are 4-6 in their last 10. The Mariners continue to lead the West, although they're just 3-7 in their last 10. The Rangers are fighting back. 6 in a row they've won. They're 24-21 and a half game behind the Mariners. And the Astros are only game and a half back. The A's, the surprising A's, 22-22 still. By the way, that is a real minor league stadium. I watched the Yankee series with the A's, and it was not That's not a good stadium, man. And the Angels being the Angels, of course, after an interesting first week or 10 days, they fall backwards. Back here to the I don't know that Shoeless Joe grew up in Schenectady. I think he grew up in the South. There's a museum for Joe Jackson. I want to say in South Carolina. And I would kind of think that's where he grew up. Maybe you're joking. I'm not sure. Rick, I might have missed the joke. He was born in Pickens County, South Carolina. So I was pretty close there. And he died in Greenville, South Carolina at 64 years old, 1951. Don't know where he went to school, high school. It doesn't quite say here. By the way, he hit 356 for his career. There's a Hall of Fame down there, which I hope to get to at some point. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was Kevin Kernan that pointed that out to me in one of the shows we had him on. Ron Panetta thinks Joe will be on the ballot with Pete. I do as well. Problem with the Joe is no one is alive to know much about him other than reading about him now. True, but again, they voted other guys in. Somebody, I think one of the guys, maybe I'm thinking about the Football Hall of Fame. I feel like one of the guys going in this year played in like the 30s, but you're right, Ron. Everything says nobody saw. I obviously didn't say Joe Jackson play. Everything I know about Joe Jackson was he was a tremendous, tremendous hitter and fielder. Scott just put a bet on the Tigers to win the AL and the World Series. What'd you get, my friend? I can't do it against the Yankees. He couldn't read her right. Oh, oh, that's a good one, Rick. I missed that one. Very sharp. To our Schenectady friends, this show takes no. We have no opinion on whether we have an opinion on that or not. That's very funny. Oh, Scott Jackson. It was Scott Jackson that couldn't read her right and went to. That's not fair, Ronnie. Oh, I love this show. I love all my peeps. You guys are the best. Scott, don't take offense if you happen to tune in, or Judy, and Judy maybe more importantly. Oh, gosh. In the National League, the surprising Mets, 28-16. Going to play the Yankees tonight in Yankee Stadium. Tigers plus 190 for the AL. Plus 1,000. That's not a bad price, right? Well, it's just true. I can't argue that it's true. The Phillies have gotten playing a little bit better baseball, and so have Braves. Braves have crawled their way to 500. Don't forget this team was 0-8. So they're now 22-14, over the last 36 games. They're back in the race here. 6 games back. I told you not to worry. Strider's supposed to come back off the DL as well. Nationals have slid a bit from their decent start, or 2-8. Marlins are the Marlins, 3-7 in their last 10. The Cubbies, a lot of pressure on Craig Counsell, I feel like, this year. 4-6 in their last 10, but they still lead the Central over the hot Cardinals, who are 9-1 in their last 10. The Brewers treading water, just a couple games under 500 now, 4 games back. The Reds 3-7 in their last 10. The Pirates fire Shelton, and they're still 3-7 in their last 10. Another team, fire a manager, but keep putting your money in your pockets for revenue sharing, Mr. Can't think of the owner's name right now. I had it for you last week. Blame the manager, although he's a big analytics guy, so I don't want to stick up for him too much. He probably got fired for overuse of analytics, but how else is he supposed to win? Where's the talent on that team besides Paul Skeens? Maybe another guy besides Paul Skeens that would even be considered for an all-star team. I don't think you're going to give me one. And the NL West, we already went through the divisions there. What do we got here? Watch out, Cubbies. You play the White Sox this weekend. Everybody gets healthy against the White Sox and the Rockies. I don't know how many of you guys heard me earlier when I was talking about there was a movement in Colorado to replace the Rockies with the Savannah Bananas, and they would probably do better. What am I looking at here? Why are these messages so old? Why am I just getting notified of a message from like 106? I don't really know. Oh, well, doesn't matter. I try to keep it. I try, even though I'm supposed to be done working at 2:00 on a Friday. Oh, and by the way, 103. I did some math earlier, and I think I came up with weekends, holidays, and PTO. Well, already scheduled PTO. It may take a few more days. I've only got like 59 actual working days left. Nice. Who's your surprise season so far and your most disappointing? I like this one. You know, it's funny. The Yankees would be one of my surprise teams, quite frankly. I don't like the way this team's put together. I don't like the pitching staff. The injuries they've already had on top of that, I think it's very surprising. Or maybe it speaks to the weakness of the East, the AL East, that the Yankees are 25-15. The Mets have surprised me at 28-16. And the Cardinals at 24-20, quite frankly, are surprising me as well. Padres. If I had to pick one of those teams, I guess I would take the Mets, quite frankly, probably over the Yankees as the biggest surprise for me. The most disappointing, I put the Reds in there at 21 and 24. I like them to make the playoffs. And it's early. They still could. The Braves, but I think there's some reasons for that. Listen, I put the A's in the surprise category at 500 too, by the way. The Orioles have got to be the biggest disappointment, I guess. I don't think I can pick a team that's a bigger disappointment than the Orioles right now. Despite the problems that they have, there's still talent on this team. And they're not necessarily, their pitching was their problem. They're not necessarily losing because of the pitching. They're losing because they can't hit the baseball. Or they can't score runs, which is kind of part and parcel, right? What about you, Scott Colby? What about you, Ronnie Bear? Rick Sherlock? That reminds me, I got to get my, I always forget my team, my lineup. Jesus Christ. Oh, I got a text from somebody too. It's important. Probably not. Tim the Paint Man. Oh. Actually, it's good news. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah. So, Scott, Ronnie, Rick, give me your surprises and your disappointments. I'll give you my. Why on earth do you let Corbin Burns go? 100%. I love Corbin Burns. I was upset when the Yankees didn't sign him last year or bring him in last offseason myself. I would have given up some decent pieces for him. Not Dominguez, but some others. But the Orioles are nuts. You got to have an anchor on your staff. But even with that said, that's not why the pitching's playing a part in it for sure. But they're not hitting. Got to hit. Orioles most disappointing. Mariners your biggest surprise. See, I had the Mariners winning that division. I thought they'd hit, and they're hitting better. They've got the best starting pitching in baseball when they're healthy, and they've had some injuries there. I guess the fact that they're scoring runs at the pace that they are is impressive. They've scored the fourth most in the American League. And they're certainly in the top third, I think, of baseball. So, but I like them in the beginning, so I can't count them as a surprise necessarily, but that's a good one. Retirement's great. Had breakfast this morning with your manager who just retired as well. Good for him. Congratulations. I haven't joined the table sitters at Stewart's. No, I'm not doing that either, by the way. Rick got me to lose my train of thought. I'm concentrating on like 59 days now. Take a long weekend next weekend. We'll do our show on Friday next. I think we'll do a show on Friday next week. Then we may miss a couple in June. We're going to Mystic for a week, mid-month, right after Father's Day. So we'll miss a little time there, but we may do the shows too. We try to do them, you know me, on vacation where I can get fit a show and we'll do it. Reason for the Mariners from Scott is it looks as though they're sustainable. This is sustainable, the run production, and Cal Raleigh is a superstar. You think Cal Raleigh's a superstar? What's his numbers right now? I don't know if he's a superstar. 13 homers. Nice. What's he hitting, though? 248. That's like hitting 348 for Cal Raleigh, isn't it? Having a great season. I don't know if I'd call him a superstar, though. Might be reaching a little. But you're right. The run production is a surprise. And I think I had qualified my statement saying that was a bit of a surprise. Subway Series ready. So, Frankie, be nice. I think he'll get booed. We had this debate this morning on the Mac and Jack show with Sonia was still hosting and will be for the foreseeable future. We'll have some news on the National Streaming Sports Network to come, I'm sure. And Mac, we're always thinking about you. But this morning, Frankie, we were talking about this, and I said they'll get booed. Jack thinks there'll be some golf claps, maybe a few. He was there 1 year. He didn't finish the job. If they'd won the World Series, I think I would have gone there and applauded him. But you know what, Frankie, I'll tell you what. And Jack brought this up this morning, so I won't say I said it first, but I've certainly had the thought that letting Soto walk and assuming Fried stays healthy most of the next 8 years, this trade-off is going to be better for the Yankees in the long run than keeping Soto. They needed the pitcher. They didn't need the bat necessarily. Well, right now it looks like they need bats because everybody's falling off the wayside, but they'll be fine. Can always find bats. And Soto is a one-dimensional player. I said it when they brought him in here. He's a nice player. He's a great hitter. He doesn't play defense. He's a horrendous base runner. He doesn't hustle, in my mind, except when he wants to here and there. So he helps you at hitter, he's one of the best hitters in baseball. He's not the best hitter in baseball. We know who that is. He happens to reside in the Bronx, and he wears number 99. Beekman's saving you a spot where? At Stewart's? What Stewart's does he hang out in? So when I come through Amsterdam, I come looking for him. And do you know his hours? Scott says Aaron Judge will have a huge series against the Mets. I think so, too. I think the Mets, this is going to be a fun series. They are playing 3 games, right? I mean, they have to be. I know sometimes they play 2-game series in the inner squad. And so unless they're off on Sunday, which would make no sense. Let me get to the schedule. You guys can feel free to comment on anything you want as I look at the schedule here. Are the Yankees and Mets not playing Sunday? Is that even possible? No, they play so they got a 3-game series. They're not going to be off tomorrow. Here's the matchups real quick while we wait for a few more comments. Anybody wants to put up their big surprises and disappointments of the year so far as we head towards Memorial Day, where I told you, Scott, we talked about this. I think it was you and I on this show. That's where I start to really say people are for real or people are in trouble. Unless you're the Rockies, of course. We got Chicago and Chicago this weekend, as Scott brought up earlier. Shane Smith and Cade Horton tonight. Cleveland at Cincinnati. Interesting. Some inter-league games this weekend. That's a big one. That's a big one for Cincinnati. Tanner Beebe and Brady Singer. The Pirates will play the Phillies, Andrew Haney and Suarez. Mets and Yankees, Tyler McGill, who's pitched really well for the Mets against Carlos Rendon. By the way, Holmes has pitched really well for the Mets as well. And I'm a little surprised, at least to this point. Again, I got to see a few more trips around the league. The Washington will be at Baltimore. Gore, not Al Gore, but Mackenzie Gore. But you'll be able to watch it on the internet. Thanks, Al Gore. And Cade Povich. Big series for Baltimore, man. They have got to right the ship. Brandon Hyde could be the next guy fired. Detroit and Toronto, another guy on the hot seat. Schneider in Toronto, Flaherty and Francis. Braves and the Red Sox. Sale comes back to pitch against the Red Sox and their new lefty acquisition, Garrett Crochet. Rays at the Marlins. Ty Bradley against Max Meyer. Cardinals red hot against Kansas City. He was cooled off a bit. Rematch of the 85 World Series. Palantine against Reagans. The Astros and the Rangers. McCullers against Evaldi. Nice matchup there. By the way, you guys who are calling and or threatening Lance McCullers and his family on social media, you guys are disgusting morons. And please don't ever watch this show or comment anywhere on my social media, or you will be banned immediately. Disgusting, disgusting, disgusting. All I got to say. Red Hot Twins, 11 in a row, go to the Brewers. Ryan and Patrick. Rockies against the D-backs. Palmquist and Burns, we mentioned earlier, Corbin Burns. Seattle against San Diego. That's an interesting matchup. Logan Evans and Stephen Kolick. The Angels against the Dodgers. So the Dodgers will have a nice, easy weekend, kind of a bye. Kokonanowicz, maybe, against Dustin May. And the A's, the surprising A's against the Giants. J.P. Sears against Logan Webb. That'll be the series we have this weekend and the matchups for tonight. Rick says Church Street. They rotate daily to the other shops as well. Well, I'll never know where to find them. Where's the Church Street Stewards? Is that where? Is that on Five Corners? They have a Stewart's here now, where Toddy's used to be. I haven't been up by Five Corners in quite some time. Welcome to Rivalry Weekend is right, Scotty. Hope you're doing well, by the way, my friend. No fantasy update with Drew traveling. No, Drew is in somewhere in Scandinavia. Might be part of the peace talks that Trump's been involved in this week, I think. Actually, I doubt that very much. What are you threatening a pitcher for? It's the middle of May. What am I threatening a pitcher? Who would I threaten? Oh, McCullers. Yeah. I thought you were talking about me. Forgot what I was talking about. Isn't it disgusting? Even in the World Series, whenever you don't threaten a guy's family, you don't threaten him at all. You can say, Frankie's got FU up here. Fine, go to the stadium and boo him. Stay off his social media. Stay off. God, morons. I say it before. It's this type of behavior that causes, terrorists to want to knock down our buildings and kill us. I mean, I'm sure it goes on elsewhere. I'm sure it goes on with Premier League soccer, Premier League hockey, Premier League soccer. But still, let's lose our ugly American tag, can we please? Or any player, correct? Unbelievable. DD, what the heck is that, man? Oh, Dunkin' Donuts. Where the Dunkin' Donuts was. Oh, I got you. Toddy's must still be on Five Corners then, eh? No, the fans, I know. I got you now. I figured it out. Sometimes you give me a minute, kicks in and I figure it out. In all honesty, Keith, you have to stop threatening Alan with his Jello privileges as he's all torn up about it. Well, first of all, Alan's way too young to be in our home, right? And I'm a little disturbed by the fact that he's taken up a bed that some deserving friend of mine could use. In all seriousness, Alan, we hope you're feeling better if you watch this. I know you're having some issues, and I have some serious issues of my own, by the way. I may be in the bed next to you when you have surgery. And today has not helped me any. Off to a wedding venue, my stepson's wedding next May. We're off to I can't remember where. Somewhere in the Berkshires to see the wedding venue tomorrow and meet his fiance's parents, which we have not met yet. Good afternoon, Dave Guyette. You're just in time for me to say goodbye. Go Yankees tonight. Yankees and Mets. You'll be happy. Yeah, his back will tell you otherwise. I get it. I'm 65 years old. I should have a bad back. What is he, 30? That poor bastard. We hope you're doing better, Alan. We really do. I joke around, but it's a serious thing. Very debilitating. In any event, you guys got anything else before I wrap it up? It's been fun. There's going to be a lot of good games, a lot of good, as Scott said, a lot of good rivalry series this weekend. Yankees and Mets at the top of my list. Knicks and Celtics tonight. Knicks will wrap it up, hopefully. And then we got to face the Pacers, who have been a nemesis of the Knicks for decades. And then we'll be back Sunday. We'll have a lot to talk about. No Triple Crown contender, as the Kentucky Derby winner will not be racing in the Preakness this weekend. But we'll talk more Pete Rose. We'll talk some football. We'll talk some baseball. Goodbye, Scotty. Have a good weekend yourself, buddy. Jack may give up his bed in Florida. Yeah, I was asking Jack about his first-hand account of the 1919 World Series. No, you're not live tonight. You're dead. It's over. Better be over. Must win for the Knicks, Scott. Last time I said must win for the Knicks, they did it. That was game 4. Game 6 now, I think, is as well. I'm racing the Preakness for the Derby winner. Oh, good. I'm betting the field. Just saying. All right, guys. We got to get out of here. See you Sunday morning at 8:30 a.m. with the Sunday Stream of Consciousness. I'll share the Sunday football show with you from National Streaming Sports. Before that, you guys have a great weekend. Keith Engle, the TGI Sports MLB update. Bye-bye.